Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tamiya DUCATI build, step number 16, which will be a whopping 2 parts, both exhaust, F15 and F16, where we get to use that mixture of color again that we mixed up for the exhaust here back in step 14. Mixture of LP 19, LP 44, LP 63, and so there's just little parts here that have to be painted that color, and then masked off and shoot the rest, which I believe that's a titanium silver. So I am just checking real quick to make sure I'm not. Yep, titanium silver. So the main part of the pipe is titanium silver, and then the special color that we mixed, and I mixed a lot of extra because I'm going to be doing 2 separate models, so I mixed plenty, so I don't have to mix any. If you go back to step number 14, you can see the process for mixing that color. So I'm going to cut and clean these parts out, and then we'll get some other stuff going. We need, like I said earlier, let's get the bike out of the way, I don't need that right now. Alright, we need F15 and F16. So 2 parts. So we've got, let's see, we got F16, F15, F15 I'll put on the top, F16 I'll put on the bottom, so that way I can try to keep them straight. Feel around for where we cut off. Couple little seam lines to scrape off. It's another warm night here in Nashville. I just got home from work a little bit ago and sitting in a nice cool garage. It's crazy to have these kind of temperatures in February and March, especially when I have family in Oregon, and last Wednesday it dumped 11 inches of snow on Portland. So it's like warm here unseasonably and crazy snow there in Oregon. What's the weather like where you guys are? You can leave it down in the comments and let me know what kind of weather and where you are. It'd be great to see a contrast of temperatures and weather wherever this finds you. Alright, so that one's done. Try to get rid of this little seam that runs down that pipe. Still haven't gotten my racing exhaust in. I ordered some resin exhaust from a gentleman in Taiwan, so I'm anxious to get those in and do a review on them. I'm hoping they come in this week. So he got them out really quick, so I was happy with that. So now I'm just trying to be patient, but I'm anxious to see. It's a kind of a different setup than the standard street exhaust. But, alright, we got those sanded. So now I'm going to go grab some paint and we'll figure out what paint we're going to use, which I already said, but we'll get it all ready. And then I'll show you a little bit of painting in the airbrush and how I do heat staining. Alright, we are going to paint the very first part of these, which is titanium silver, LP63, which I'm going to go ahead and thin 50/50 with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. I'm not going to need a whole lot because the surface space of these exhaust pipes are not that big. So I think I'm just going to do 2 pipettes of the thinner, and then we'll do 2 pipettes of quick little mix up. One, 2. Give that a quick stir around. All right. So now we'll shoot those. We'll try to get the heat staining done after it dries. So we'll shoot, I always use about 30 psi from a tank for most of my stuff. When I do like the heat staining and stuff like that, I'll go ahead and use like 12 to 15 psi just to make sure that it's a lower pressure. All right. Just put it in there. A little test spray. And then we shall make these titanium silver. That is nice and done. Turn on this fan for a minute. Just like that, we have the titanium silver on and ready for the heat staining when it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and get the color cleaned out of this airbrush and ready to do some heat staining. All right. Again, this is my process for heat staining. It may not be the best in the world, but I tend to get pretty good results that I like. So I use the Alclad hot metal colors, hot metal sepia, hot metal blue. Sometimes I put hot metal red in, but I also use hot metal violet, but the violet broke, so I had to kind of mix my own using the red and blue. So I'm hoping that will work. I often use these inks I get at Hobby Lobby, and they work really well as well. But tonight I'm going to use these. So I always start with blue. And so I'll get a little bit of blue into my airbrush. I need to switch over my air source from my 30 psi to my 30 psi to my 15 psi. So I'll put a little bit of blue in here. We'll see how much that gets us. So this is a practice in patience. So what I do is I try to take the blue into the bends of the pipe where it might get hotter, and I'm just doing it real softly just to build up the color. So I wait till I see it start turning blue right in the bend. I don't want it on too thick because I don't want it to run, because it's real runny paint. Right now I'm just using the air to dry it. And then so I'll come back over to this side and just kind of just mist it until you see the color start to build up. And you're wanting to get in all the bends. So like I said, it's a lesson in patience, which is not my strong suit, because I want to see it, the final color right away. So that's building it up. Again, I'm drying right now with the paint, or which is with the airbrush. Now I'm going back in and trying to get some more blue in there. And the closer you get, you can control the line a little bit better. Drying now. And normally I would have my exhaust fan going, but it's a bit loud and I don't want to blast you guys out. So you're seeing little blue in there. Now that's kind of one of the biggest bends, but I'm going to go ahead and try to put a little bit right at this bend. Even though I'll have to come back in and paint part of what I'm just painting now back to that kind of gold exhaust that we used on the actual exhaust parts from step 14. So I'm just trying to get that blue in there. What I'll probably end up doing, since this stuff is kind of fragile and I don't want to mask this off, this section here, I'm probably going to come back in and hand paint that color, and hopefully it works out. I don't really want to mask this unless maybe I'll put like a satin coat of varnish down. So anyway, there is that. I'm going to put a little bit of blue down here in this bend, but not as pronounced as the others. Again, just going back and forth. I don't want the paint to run on me. So just real soft. Like I said, about 12 to 15 psi. Doesn't need to be high because the paint is so thin that you don't need a whole lot of PSI to push it out of the airbrush. All right, so that one is good with the blue. I like it so far, so I'm going to do the other one. Let me grab it from over here, a little paint rack. So this one, do the same thing. Start building up the blue where you see the little bends. Back and forth, using air to dry it. Put this area down here a little bit more. I was a little close on that one. So, to the top, make sure I got all the edges. It looks pretty uniform. All right. So we'll let that dry a little bit. I'll clean out the blue. And the beauty is these paints also, they kind of dry pretty quick. So I'm just going to try to suck out as much as I can. I'm going to have to give Mark a holler at HobbyNut Models and see if he has any violet in his online store. The Alclad Hot Metal Violet, like I said, it ended up dropping out of my hands and falling onto the floor of my garage, so it looked really good on the garage for a while, but it kind of interrupts. So I'm hoping what I mixed with the red and blue is going to be all right. We will find out right now. So let's see. It's a good violet color, so let's see how it mixes with the blue. All right. Let's see how she does. So now, for the violet, I try to go on the outer edges of the blue. So wherever I see the blue fading, I try to go right up there because I want to leave the center section of the blue, if that makes sense, because that's usually where the hottest temperature is. So I just try to control my brush when I can see it. Go right up next to the blue on both sides. Almost like blending the violet into where the blue is fading out towards the silver. Both sides. Slow and steady, using the air to dry it. I'm trying to get some more light on here for you guys. It's getting there a little bit. But again, like I said, it's all about patience. back and forth. Just letting it build up in color. It's not going to be perfect right out because it's going to be, it's almost like applying a candy coat paint job. You've got to build it up till you get the color you want. I'm just drying right now, sorry. You probably think I'm painting. I'm just drying what I've got down there so that way I can start to apply the next layer of color, trying to boost that violet up a little bit. Drawing again. I don't know if your eyes can see it or if the camera can capture that, but you can start to see the banding of the violet into the blue while still having the blue at the center. So it's all a matter of just blending. And it's really however your eye sees it to when you stop. And you know, there's nothing out there that says, well, pipes don't heat like that. You're wrong. Well, guess what? It's all about what you like. So I am pretty happy with that right there for the violet on that one. Might even put just a little around where that pipe is coming out of the exhaust, because I want to bring some sepia into that as well. All right, so air dry, air dry. And we'll come back in on this one and try to do the same thing. Like I said, the first couple passes doesn't even look like there's any paint coming out. But you got to trust it and say, okay, I know I'm letting paint out, so I just have to trust the method. And then come back in and then dry it. You might be able to start to see the banding already. And to be honest with you, I guess I haven't really done my research because I don't know if it's a non-racing bike, if it would actually get hot enough to do heat staining like this. So if anybody knows out there, could you drop it in the comments if it's fairly accurate or totally out of accuracy? Or because I know racing bikes have exhaust that gets such extreme temperatures that cause this banding. more of the violet on this one. All right. Pretty happy with that. Let that dry now. Get that airbrush cleaned out and get ready for the hot sepia. I was trying to find some models that showed what I've done in the past with some heat staining. Where are you? I don't know if you can see all that down in there. Where? I'm trying to look at the screen and at the, make sure that I'm showing. So I used some reference shots to try to get as close as I could to some realistic heat staining, but that's also a racing bike, so it's really hard to do a comparison. Alrighty, so we'll grab the violet out of here. Give it a little spray of cleaner. Not going to do a full clean on it, just need to get the violet out of there so the sepia can be clean when it goes through. Do a little evacuation of the fumes so I don't choke. All right, now the sepia color, which is kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a goldy brown. And it just kind of gives another layer to the whole treatment of heat staining. All right. Some big bugs coming into the garage tonight. All right, so now we'll go ahead and get that going. I've got a visitor. There you go. Guess he likes the lights. Anyway, okay, so now we are going to try to go right after the violet and try to put some sepia in here. Kind of a, like I said, a yellowish brown. It adds just another layer to it. I use it as almost a blending between the colors. Try that out. As I shake sepia out. All right, I don't know if you can see that, but you can already see the kind of the yellowy color. So I'm going to go back in here. And it also, if you get it where it blends a little into the violet, so now you have all these colors blending in without too much of a hard line, which makes it kind of cool. Oh, there's my compressor going off. Needs to refill, I guess. All right, I think I'm satisfied with that and the way it's looking. Hopefully it shows up on screen well. That, because I think once we paint these other parts here the color they need to be, it's really going to pull all this stuff together. So I'm going to call that pipe done. And here, as I keep working on it. Yes, I'm going to call this one done. Doing a little drawing now. I'm going to put it over here. And work on this one. Just kind of drying it. I'm going to do just one little wide coat, just to kind of blend it all in. All right, I believe I am done heat staining for right now. I'm going to get it back over on the bench and paint those ends and glue it together after it dries. And then we'll look at it in a little bit better light, but I can't get too, here's what I can do. I can zoom in, how's that? I'll zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see, it just looks better than just like a silver pipe. So it adds a little life to it, even though a lot of it will be covered by body work, but I always try to display it with some of the body work off so you can see some of the detail that you put so much time in. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all this mess, and we will look at it at the bench here in a little bit. All right, we are back over here. Trying to get some light on the subject. We're back over here to clean up. Jeez, I can make a mess. All right, so this is what we just did. Gosh, I got so many little gnats in here. I did the exhaust. Pretty happy with it. So now I'm going to glue them together before I paint the ends. There's that one. And there is its matching partner. So we are going to glue those together like that, and then we will be ready to do the hand painting, because I think if I mask them, it's going to be not a good thing. I don't think I'm going to enjoy the results as much as, so that's what it's going to look like all together as a part. I'm hoping you can see the colors. I'm really happy with the overall look and feel of them. Okay, so let me dab a little glue on this little bad boy, because its connecting point is right there. All right, sorry, got interrupted. So I'm going to get some glue on here, let it soften all that up. And I'm going to join these two sides in holy matrimony. And it's going to make a little bit of a seam, which I'm going to let that dry really, really well. And I'm going to drop some glue down in that seam. And then we'll let that dry. And we'll see how bad that seam is. And actually, I don't know if you're going to see that seam that I'm worried about, because it tucks in down and then these go up to the engine, and this will be tucked up way under this part of the engine. So you will actually be popping it down and up into there. So I may test fit it real quick to see what I have to worry about seam-wise. And that might help me. So basically, that's what she's going to look like right now. So I don't really see a seam except for right back here, which I might be able to fill that and scrape it. But overall, I really like the look of that. I almost like that better than the front one. Yeah, I may have to, that's definitely something to learn from, because that, I like the effect of that exhaust versus that exhaust. It just seems more shiny. So we'll see what I can do. I'm definitely not going to repaint the other one. So I am going to pause a minute and we'll come back and paint that. All right. I think we have a finished exhaust that I can glue here in a little bit once that dries. Then I'll do just a little bit of a panel wash and we'll be done with step 16. Moving on to, dang it, more stuff. All right, I got it in place. I was just tinkering with it, and before you know it, it snapped into place. So there's not much wiggle room. So I'm gonna dab a bit of glue right down on the where they join. Right here, where the pipe joins the engine. That glue will just seep down in there and seal it up without doing any damage. I'll do a little bit right here, because it'll just, like I said, go right around and seal that. And I'll get one right down in there. There we go. So, pretty productive night. It took a little bit longer for two whole parts to paint and do, but I sure like the way it looks when you turn it. So pretty happy with heat staining. I hope I showed you how I do it. I had a comment, somebody asking how to do it, and I told them that I would do a video and show them. So I hope you guys like it. If there's any comments that you have, I'd appreciate it. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're seeing it for the first time and haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or anything else, just go ahead and list them there and I'll get to them. I appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I'll see you at the next one.